Hello friends, welcome to my channel One Tech Stop. So in our previous video we have seen how to configure a client machine in VirtualBox and how can we join our client machine to our domain controller. So if you seen that video, you can see that we have assigned the IP address statically to our client machine. So in our today's video, we will see how a client machine can get the automatic IP address. So in order to have automatic IP address, we need to configure our today's topic DHCP. So we will see today how we can configure the DHCP server role and what are the options we need to configure. And we will also see how our client machine will get the IP address automatically. So before that, we will try to understand what is DHCP and what are the options available and how the DHCP will actually work. So today we will see what is DHCP, what is the Dora process, installing DHCP server role in Windows Server 2019 and configuring the DHCP scopes and options. So DHCP basically stands for Dynamic Host Protocol. This DHCP helps in assigning the IP address to the machines automatically. Any machine that joins to the network, the DHCP is responsible to provide the IP address from its pool. So DHCP server will work on a protocol number 67 and DHCP clients will work on the UDP port number 68. So let's see what is a Dora process. Dora process is a like abbreviation for discover, offer, request, and acknowledge. This is the process that the DHCP will follow whenever a new machine is joined in a network. So let's see one by one. The first is discover. So whenever a new machine boots up or a new machine is joined in a domain, the machine will first broadcast for the IP address. It will try to search for a DHCP server. So it will try to communicate, transfer its DHCP discover message in its local subnet. It will try to search for where is the like DHCP server. Now, after DHCP receives this request, the discover request, then the DHCP server will take one of the IP address from its pool and it will offer that IP address to the client machine. Now, whenever a DHCP offers a request to a client machine, then the client machine, it depends on the client machine whether to accept that IP address or it may also deny and request for another IP address. So for example, let's take here the request has been sent from client to machine, client to domain controller. This means our DHCP server which has allotted IP address our client machine has accepted, and it will send a request to the DHCP server that okay, I need this IP address. Then the DHCP server will acknowledge. Okay, so the DHCP server accepts the request by sending the client a unicast DHCP acknowledgement message. So this is the complete Dora process what it follows during the client server communication. Guys, if you see in the red color below a note, here the client machine and the DHCP server, if both are in the same subnet, so they can communicate directly. If the DHCP is one subnet and a client machine is in another subnet, the another subnet client machine will not be able to communicate to the DHCP server because the DHCP server is in another subnet. So for this purpose, in this scenario, if we want to make the communication between a client and a DHCP server, we need an intermediate as DHCP relay agent. So the DHCP relay agent will guide the other subnet traffic to DHCP server. So you need to configure DHCP relay agent on a router or your L3 switch. So what is DHCP scope? So once you have installed the DHCP server role, now you have to configure a few of the options here. So like you need to create a scope. You have to plan and assign the IP range. You can also keep IP exclusions, lease duration, gateway router, and a DNS server. So we will see all the options one by one. So I will directly go to our domain controller. Now if you see in the tools, we don't find any option for DHCP. That means the DHCP server role is not configured. In order to configure the DHCP server role, just click on add roles and features either from here panel, or you can click on manage and add roles and features. Then we'll click on next. Next, this populates our domain controller. Select this one and click on next. Now here we need to add this option DHCP server. Check this DHCP server, add features, next, next, restart the destination server automatically if required. We need this in order to take the changes effect. Then click on install. Now here it says configuration required, installation succeeded on DC01. Click on close. So if you see, you can find a like a yellow exclamation here. If you click, it says post deployment. Okay, we'll complete DHCP configuration. Just click on next. Use the following user's credential. Okay. Click on commit. Creating security groups, authorizing DHCP, done. Great. Now if you click on tools, you will find an option called DHCP now. So that means our DHCP server role has been configured. Now click on the DHCP, tools and DHCP. This opens our DHCP configuration window. So if you expand our domain, you will find the configurations for both IPv4 and IPv6. So we will be configuring IPv4. In order to configure now the IP addresses, the pools, so we need to right click on IPv4, click on new scope, click on next. Here I will give the name, for example, LAN subnet. Click on next. If you want to give a description, you can describe that one, that why this what is the purpose of this subnet, where you are or where you are using this subnet. So now click on next. Here the start IP and end IP. So I will configure 10.1.11.100 to 10.1.11.200. This means the DHCP server will allocate the IP addresses starting from 100 to 200. Yani this will assign 101 IP addresses. key this 255.255.0 subnet mask. Next, these add exclusions. Now, for example, you have configured one of the machine. For example, you can say like a printer between 100 to 200. Now you want that IP address not to assign to any other machine. So you can exclude that IP address or particular range from here. So as of now, I will not add any exclusions. Then just simply click on next. This is the lease duration I will keep as a default for 8 days. And that IP address will be allotted to that machine for 8 days if it is not continuously active. Next, yes, I want to configure these options now. Next, now we have to enter the router IP address 10.1.11.1. Click on add and click next. Here parent domain name is our domain. So I will keep the DNS entry as 10.1.11.10. This IP address I will assign to our domain controller because our domain controller will also act as a DNS server. Click on add. Yes, because it is now added with this IP address. So I have to change my domain controller IP as well. So I will keep it added and I will keep move this to up and I will keep next, next. Yes, I want to activate the scope now. Now we need to click on next. Finish. Now if you can see on the left side, the scope has been created. This is the address pool that we have assigned from 100 to 200. This is address leases. Once a client machine will get the IP address from the domain controller or DHCP server, you will see here the list of machines. The reservations. The reservations you can assign based on the MAC address. For example, there is any machine that you want any time that machine is joined to the network, it should receive only that particular IP address. So in that case, we need to bind the MAC address of that machine to our DHCP server by creating a reservation. If you click on right click on reservations, you can click on new reservation and you can assign like the reservation name. You can keep any user friendly name, and here you can give which IP address need to be assigned to that machine and the MAC address of that machine. Then just click on add. Then it will be added. This is scope options. This is our router IP and this is DNS servers and this is our domain name. So our DHCP configuration looks good. So let's go to our domain controller network settings. And here I will assign IPv4. Here I will change to our local subnet 10.1.11.10. 255.255 I will keep the same. I'll keep this as a 10.1.11.1 as a default gateway. And here I will add the preferred DNS server same as our domain controller 11.10. Click this OK and this OK. Check on status details. Yes, okay. Now let's go to our client machine and check whether we can whether our machine is able to get the IP address or not. So I will just log into my machine. Now I will go to our network adapter settings. Properties, enter the domain credentials to authenticate, and then click on yes. If you go to IPv4 settings, here it is assigned statically. In our previous video, we have assigned this statically. Now we will check the option for obtain an IP address automatically and the DNS as well. Click OK, OK, and click OK. Just try to refresh and let's see if we have got what IP address. See guys here 10.1.11.100. So our DHCP server has assigned IP address from its pool because we have configured the pool from 100 to 200. So this is our first machine. So it has given IP from 100, the first IP 100. So let's go to our domain controller and check in the DHCP our machine is populating or not. So we'll click on address leases. Just refresh here. Before it was empty here. Now here it shows that this IP address has been assigned to this client machine, and this is the lease expiration details. So guys, this is how we configure the DHCP server role and the DHCP scopes and its options. I hope you guys like my video. So stay tuned for my more upcoming videos. In next video, I will be try to show how we can configure the group policies and how user machine and user are controlled by using group policies. Stay tuned to my videos. Thank you so much, friends. Please like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.